Hey guys, I'm doing my Divergent and Insurgent review today. Aren't you excited? Woo! I'm a little excited, could you tell? Just like I said in my last video, I really enjoyed both of the books. This is going to be a review on them, just talking about how I feel about them. There is going to be spoilers for both books. Any examples I use today are going to be from Insurgent because my boyfriend still has Divergent. He's finishing up reading it. So anything that I pulled out to talk about is going to be from Insurgent, but there will be spoilers for both books. So if you haven't finished reading them yet, click off this right now. Let's get started. So when I first started reading Divergent, all I was doing was comparing it to the Hunger Games, like for the first, I don't know, quarter of the book. I think this is just because I recently read Hunger Games, I recently saw the movie of Hunger Games, and it's just been all over the place. And of course it's another dystopian novel, so it was just on my mind. As the book went on, it got less and less like Hunger Games, so I found myself comparing it to Hunger Games less. And honestly, by the end, I think I might even like the Divergent series better than the Hunger Games series, and I really like the Hunger Games series. So here are my thoughts. In the beginning, did anyone else think that the factions in Divergent were kind of like Hogwarts houses on crack? I was thinking of the test that they go to, kind of like the Sorting Hat, like they have to get sorted into a certain faction based on their personality, except for like on crack, because it's like way more decisive of their future and the factions don't like each other, and I guess the Hogwarts houses kind of don't like each other either, but I don't know, it just reminded me of getting sorted. Just like Hunger Games, this series has a first-person narrator who is a female who is teenaged, and that made me compare it to it also, but I have to say that I really think Triss is a less annoying character than Katniss. Katniss got in my nerves a lot during the series, especially when she was just being so like, everything's happening to me, I just want to die, self-sacrificing. And Triss, for the most part, isn't like that. She's a much more realistic and kind of more like how real people are. She's kind of selfish. She forgets to think of other people's needs sometimes, and I kind of like that because it made her a more likable character, a more realistic character in my eyes, except for in Insurgent when she starts getting all suicidal, like after her parents die and she's feeling really bad about her life and about killing Will and is just hating on herself and wanting to self-sacrifice herself to save other people. I guess it's kind of like Katniss in a way, but it didn't bother me as much as Katniss did. What I also really liked about these books is that there was a refreshing lack of a love triangle. So you're used to hearing about, you know, Twilight, Team Edward, Team Jacob, or Hunger Games, Team Peeta, Team Gale, that it was just refreshing and nice to just have one love interest in the book and not have to deal with the love triangle. I mean, in the beginning, she has an admirer that she doesn't like, and then it's over with. She's like, I don't like you back, whatever. And then it becomes about the main love interest, which of course is Tobias, or Four, who... good love interest. I mean, at times I felt awkward reading it, but I do like both characters, so I guess I do like it in the end. I think I'm just getting old, which is why I feel weird reading about like teenage love stories and awkward sometimes, but that's just me. I like Veronica Roth's writing style a lot. Like, I liked it in Divergent, but as I went through Insurgent, I was realizing more and more how much I really, really, really like her writing style. I just think her metaphors and her descriptions resonate with me personally, and if they resonate with me, they probably resonate with other people. She describes emotions and situations in a very specific and relatable way that makes you feel what Triss is feeling. For instance, chapter 3 of Insurgent starts with, that evening I returned to my room and slide my hand beneath the mattress to make sure the gun is still there. My fingers brush over the trigger and my throat tightens like I'm having an allergic reaction. I withdraw my hand and kneel on the edge of the bed, taking hard swallows of air until the feeling subsides. What is wrong with you? I shake my head. Pull it together. And that is what it feels like, pulling different parts of me up and in like a shoelace. I feel suffocated, but at the same time, I feel strong. So in that instance, she uses the metaphor of having an allergic reaction to feeling the gun, being repulsed by it, and also the metaphor of being tied up like a shoelace and just tying yourself together. And I think anyone who's gone through a difficult time or gone through a mourning period will really identify with the way that she describes those painful emotions and uses metaphors, because emotions are so hard to describe and kind of individual, but when you use something that everyone can relate to. They can be like, yeah, you know, I know what that feels like. I also picked out the metaphor I really, really liked. It's on page 337 of Insurgent, and it's when she's in the Erudite headquarters and she sees Tobias and she says, Tobias, blood trailing down the side of his face and marking his white shirt with red. Tobias, fellow Divergent, standing in the mouth of this furnace in which I will burn. Which is like, yeah, it's a good line. She's in the mouth of the furnace and she's gonna burn. I don't know. Overall, I think why I really liked this book, maybe even more than Hunger Games, is because it really focused on the individual and being an individual and your individual choices. Of course, it also had commentary on society, that overall reaching theme, but even more so than Hunger Games, it's focused on the individual and individual psyche and different personalities, and I really liked that. It really tried to focus on how no one is really black and white. Is anyone really one thing or the other? There's even a part in Insurgent when she's talking about Marcus, who Marcus is a really disliked character, at least through the eyes of Tris. But then she admits, she says, and while he has done cruel, evil things, our society is not divided into good and bad. Cruelty does not make a person dishonest, the same way bravery does not make a person kind. Marcus is not good or bad, but both. And that's the meaning of being divergent, what she is, what we find out, even if they're not labeled as divergent, most people are. They're not black and white. They're not candor, truth, or lies. They're just a mix of everything, which can be evil or it can be good. I liked that in between books, there was no really space of time. It just started right up again where Divergent left off. Insurgent, just next sentence basically started back up again. Some people might not like that. They like books that are concluded, can be a book on its own and not need the other book. Me personally, if it's going to be a series, I'd rather just get right back into the same story. I also liked that she did mention religion and talk about religion a little bit in the series, which is pretty much left out of Hunger Games. It never discusses religion. And there's one particular part that I really, really liked. It does mention how in the factions some people are religious and some aren't. But then in Insurgent 379, Tris is coming to terms with the fact that she might have to sacrifice her life, and she's coming to terms with dying. And she says, I suppose that now would be time to ask for forgiveness for all the things I've done, but I'm sure my list would never be complete. I also don't believe that whatever comes after life depends on my correctly reciting a list of my transgressions. That sounds too much like an erudite afterlife to me, all accuracy and no feeling. I don't believe that what comes after depends on anything I do at all. And I think that's how a lot of people feel about organized religion, and kind of how I feel about it is, do you really need to ask for forgiveness and list all your transgressions, or if there's an afterlife, is just generally being a good person in this life enough to get there? I mean, it was an interesting thing, and I highlighted it just because I liked that she touched on that instead of just ignoring it and just being like, well, I'm gonna die tomorrow and oh well, like everything will be over. She's thinking about what happens after you die, and she wasn't afraid to go there. So overall, if you have not read Divergent and Insurgent by Veronica Roth, which if you haven't, why are you watching this? I totally spoiled like a bunch of stuff. Definitely read it. What did you guys think? Did you like it better than Hunger Games? Did you compare it the whole time like I did? How did you like the main character? How did you like Tris? Is there gonna be another one? I really hope so, because there's a lot of things that were left unsaid and untied up. I should probably know this. I don't. Please let me know in the comments. It was nice seeing you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.